Hi, everyone. Welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where we're anything but silent. I'm here today solo as your host, but I'm here with our evicted house guest, Vivek. How are you today?
I'll be honest with you. It's a whirlwind of emotions right now. I'm feeling a lot, but I'll be okay. It's just a game.
Understandable. I know it's hard because you just left, so you're still adapting and everything, but we're glad that you're chatting with us today. And there's so much to talk about. I'm so excited. I wanted to talk to you immediately about week one because I was curious who you felt like you were connected to or who you felt in a good position with heading into that week two HOH.
It's a good question. I really, in the beginning of the game, I wanted to make sure I felt good with everybody. So regardless of who wins HOH, I wouldn't be touching the block, and I would have some sort of connection with them. My strongest connection by far, I think, week one, I felt with Matthew. We clicked from right day one, and I really had his back.
Okay. Well, then we saw in week two that during the HOH comp that everyone went after you. You were the first one eliminated. It felt like it wasn't just the girls. We saw Todd go in there and put some venom with the theme. So what were you thinking once you were out? Like, what was your thought process seeing that happen?
Uh, that was definitely eye-opening. Initially, when that happened, it was pure rage inside me. It's like, why? What the heck just happened? But I had to calm myself down because I know if I started bursting out and just losing my mind, these house guests would see me as explosive, and that would give them one more reason to evict me. So I remained my cool, put a smile on my face, and hugged them and said it's okay. And then really got to have the one-on-one conversations with all the people that I saw with putting spit in my tube to see why did they do that.
Mhm. Well, Victoria ends up being HOH, and it feels like you guys are having a conversation, and it felt like she was baiting you to like talk about some supposed alliance that she had heard about. Did you ever think who would have said that information to Victoria, and what was your thought process in the car? Because that was very interesting to watch both on the dailies and on the show.
That one is, I'll be honest with you, that was a really heated conversation with Victoria when she first came in. And now that I'm trying to remember it a little bit better, it was when I heard that she knew who I was talking about. She felt uncomfortable with Anthony, that she didn't include him. I genuinely could not recall me saying that. The only person that came to my mind, because I recently just heard it, was Todd, that I knew threw my name under the bus a couple times. And then I thought, okay, what alliance am I in with Todd? And the only thing that came to mind was the East Coast thing. And so I mentioned that. And obviously that caused the big blow up that we had after.
Well, I we have to talk about the blow up because it felt like y'all were saying the same thing, but just like not registering or listening. And obviously, your experience was your experience in the car. And I felt like you were trying to communicate it, but everyone was just getting lost in the tension. So what was your takeaway after that conversation?
Yeah, biggest takeaway, can't trust Bailey anymore because she is just so loose with her words and she wears her emotions on her sleeve. So if I give her any information or she hears something, she's just gonna go tell the house about it and not care what people are thinking. You can't play the game like that. But I still wanted to mend relationships with her and after because I wanted to see, it might be better to mend that rather than her gunning for me. So um, but yeah, that was my initial reaction in the conversation. I think the fact that all three of them had so much to say to me, um, that also kind of took over. It's never easy fighting a battle with three people and you're on one side trying to justify yourself. Um, but I didn't want to mention too much in front of Victoria as well, the fact that she was there. So I had some information, and I didn't want to reveal that Dennis was the one that was actually feeding me this information that Todd and Bailey had said my name. So I didn't want to blow up Dennis's game. So that's why I couldn't reveal to them, hey, I know you guys threw me on the bus. That's why I sent this to Victoria.
Hmm. Well, speaking of Dennis, you were on the block, and then Dennis, sorry, used the power of veto on you. Were you expecting that coming into the competition? And what did you feel after that move was done to take you off on the block?
Going into the competition, I knew Dennis was going to use that veto if he does win. I had a really strong connection with Dennis, and he was really the only one that was with me when I was going through my lows. Um, After the competition was over and Dennis did win, I knew in my gut, it's like, yeah, this guy is going to use the veto on me. And I was able to confirm it when the green room with him after.
I feel like your relationship was very interesting because it seemed like you guys were on the same page, but weren't necessarily doing the strategy to get to that same result, and that strategy being going after Anthony. So I wanted to
Mm.
understand what your perspective was because it seemed like Dennis was saying, you have we have more numbers now. Let's go after Anthony. Where you were saying, let's wait it out a little bit. So why was
Mhm.
that your thought process? And do you still believe that that was the right choice?
So initially, when Dennis was actually telling me to go after some of the guys, I knew besides Dennis, the closest people to me are the guys.
Mhm.
They're gonna have my back against the girls because the girls are definitely just throwing me under the bus. So that's why I didn't want to take a shot at the guys because I'm like, if Dennis doesn't work out, what do I do, right? Um, Sorry, can you repeat the last part of your question?
Yes, I was just trying to understand why that was the decision, why you wanted to wait to target Anthony, and if you still believe that that was the right choice looking back.
Okay. So initially, that's why I really wanted to wait to target Anthony to let somebody else take that blood because I didn't want to get the blood on my own hands because I still felt like they might have my back. And if they win HOH next week, I'll still have you safe somehow. Now, absolutely, I regret that decision because I know that it really comes down to knowing that the information that was fed to me, that they really did not have my back and they were also probably coming for me. Um, can I just dive into the whole dinner situation?
Please, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you if there's anything you want to say to Dennis as well, so we might
Yeah.
as well start it.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, like Dennis was my number one. I love that guy with all my heart, and I will never forget him. I'll reach out to him every single day. But what I had to do in the game, it really comes down to the numbers. Knowing that when I won HOH, that if I didn't win, I would be on the block next to Dennis, and even the week after, I would be on the block next to Dennis until Dennis went home. Is not a good look. I wanted to make sure that I would have numbers, and when Spicy, Dougie, and Kayla came up to me and offered me that alliance, that hey, we can actually give you this alliance, but you have to take out Dennis. Even in the back of my head, it's like I know this guy's coming after me, after them, and they might be manipulating me. I'm like, I'll let them manipulate me to make them think that yeah, it's okay. We can control Vivek, and that will give me a few weeks, and it will give me good in terms of the house realizing, yeah, let's not go for Vivek anymore. And if I really wanted to make it to the end, I had to let go of Dennis to show my loyalty towards them. It really came down to as much as I love Dennis, me and him, there was no way we were going to make it to the end because the whole house was pretty much coming after Dennis. When I talked to each person individually as well, they all told me that Dennis was rubbing them the wrong way, and yeah, they'd rather see him go. That's why after I did put him on the block, we had to blow up in the billiard room. Every single person came to my HH room and consoled me, and I was crying my eyes out, and they were still there saying that that's the best move you could have made because they wanted Dennis out so bad. And that's why you saw a unanimous decision.
I am curious to know what you thought your perception would be after you made that move, right? Because it seemingly was like Dennis had just took you off the block and now you're putting it like, did you have a fear about how people would perceive your allyship moving forward?
Of course, people would see that this guy is willing to let go of someone so close to him, but I really wanted to show them that, hey, I'm willing to do that to put trust into something new that is going to let me give me life in this game almost. Uh, I know it looked bad in terms of this guy's letting go as like most closest ally, but I also wanted to have that same perception that this guy can be manipulated or controlled. because I really wanted to make sure that once they felt that this guy can be manipulated, controlled, they can use me for longer in the game, and hopefully I would win HOH longer in the game and actually put the actual target on them and put them both on the block. Fortunately, I didn't get that chance, but I needed more time in the game to be able to do that. And going with Dennis was not the way. It would just damage my game even further.
I'm curious because I think Anthony is someone you connected with on your HOH, but it was really interesting to see the dynamics because I felt like there was potential of y'all being each other's number one, but then you guys were kind of going after each other potentially, and then you had a moment where you connected. So I'm just curious, ultimately, can you explain your relationship with Anthony?
Yeah, it's a complicated one. As again, it really comes down to the human aspect of it. Anthony is probably the person that I relate to, who I'm alike most in terms of personality and who I want to be. Uh, but at the same time, I know I can't beat him at the end, and that's why I wanted him out of the game. Um, I tried to get the people rallied in the beginning week, and then that caused me to go on the block. And that was quite a learning lesson. It's like, if I'm going to have this guy's name in my mouth, I got to make sure I also make sure it happens that he's on the block and he goes home. I can't be just doing that randomly, because obviously he has connections inside the home that bring it back to him that I'm not even aware of. Um, but in terms of the game, I think at the back of his mind, he knew that initially I had his name under in my mouth, and even if we mended things, he still had that in the back of his head. So he was probably gunning for me. But I wanted to show him loyalty, and I wanted to show him, yeah, you can control me, no problem, as long as you take me far in this game. And that would give me more time to get some power and be able to make a big move that I need to.
Okay, well, I have loved talking to you, but I have to ask my last question.
Mm.
So I wanted to play Superlatives with you. It's a little game that I've been doing with the evicted house guests.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you a superlative, and you can just tell me the name of the house guest you believe that category belongs to. Sound good?
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So the first superlative is, who do you think is the sneakiest player?
Spicy.
Okay. Who do you think is the most underrated player?
Avery.
Who do you think is the most underestimated player?
Kayla?
Okay.
No, sorry, can't change that. No, I think
You
she's
can.
the competitor. Uh, Maybe I'm gonna go with uh, Todd.
Okay. Who do you think is running the house?
Spicy.
And who do you think will win slash who do you want to win?
I think Anthony will win, but I want Matthew to win.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Vivek, for talking with me today. I had such fun talking to you. I was so interested to pick your mind about the game, and I'm excited that we got to chat. And I hope the transition goes well. I hope that you're
Thank
filled with
you.
love, and I really wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. The game at the end of the day, I love everybody, and I had a great time chatting.